Hi there, thank you for joining me to chat about this latest episode of Seeking Sister Wife, Season 5, Episode 5. If you're a fan of the show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and also let me know your thoughts on the episode in the comments. So this episode starts out with the Merrifields. Garrick and Dannielle and Nathalia are still in the kitchen from the last scene. And of course, Garrick continues to act dumb about the dating profile or the dating app that he was using. He is still trying to weasel out of this, and Dannielle and Nathalia are not letting him. He claims that he can only speak to old people, people he has talked to before, basically, and not anybody new, which both Dannielle and Nathalia was like, no, that's not true. And Dannielle says she had already told him this as well. And then he was saying something like, oh, I thought I had to pay to talk to this or pay to do something else. So he just continues to act dumb, which nobody's buying. Nathalia tells him that he can reset his profile when they're ready to date again, which Dannielle had already told him that as well. So Nathalia says it's not about him using the app. It's about the fact that he lied. He claims that he wasn't going to be in the apps anymore. And then now to find out that, he's still in the apps. So he says, in his confessional that he says, I think it was in the confessional, he said that he was still using the app because he wanted to settle things up with old people before shutting the app down. Really? Who does that? It's either you're going to move forward and keep communicating with people or you're not. You don't need to say, hey, by the way, I'm not going to proceed with you, but I'm going to give you, moral support or keep talking to you until you can wean yourself off of me. What? So this is what he's saying. And then he says something about, I guess that's not how women think or something. That makes absolutely no sense. No one settles things out with people on a dating app that they're not interested in. But he's grasping at pretty much anything to try to come up with a reason as to why he's still in these apps without admitting that he's talking to other people. So he's in the apps trying to sneak around and talk to other people, and now he's busted and he doesn't want to admit it. But, how many women does he want? He wants Nathalia, he has Dannielle, but why is he keeps talking to other people? So meanwhile, Nathalia is feeling betrayed, and she ended up saying that she's going to bed, and so she left them in the kitchen. So in the confessional, Garrick said that he was sad. They feel like he's damaged the relationship with Nathalia. And, he was supposed to propose that night. Really? So that one sentence alone doesn't even make sense, because if you're sneaking around and lying and you're talking to other people, would it make sense then to be proposing to somebody at this point in time? No. So it's a whole contradiction in what he's saying. So the next morning we see Garrick and Dannielle both looking depressed. Garrick says he wants to talk to her about last night and tells her that she should have listened to him. He should have listened to her. He says he's worried that Nathalia will think that he's not a good guy, and he claims that he doesn't want to displease her or God, in talking to Dannielle, and that, he tells her that she's sorry. He also tells her that he's committed to both her and Nathalia. I don't know how these people do this thing with multiple people, but anyway. So in the confessional, Dannielle talks about how, Garrick is sensitive and kind and emotional, and she knows that he didn't intend to hurt her or Nathalia. So she says that, he realized that what he did ended up hurting them and that he wants to make it right. So, in seeing that and how she's taking on the blame or trying to deflect for him, I just wonder if this is what he does all the time, because it makes me wonder why she stays with him. He's such a creepy guy. He's always wanting somebody else but her. He's putting Nathalia that he barely knows in front of her. And I just wonder if this is what he does all the time, is, put her in a position to question whether she's in the wrong. And then now she's to the point where she's defending him, and feeling sorry for him. And then it's just swept under the rug. So here he comes with the puppy dog eyes and the apology. And basically, Dannielle feels sorry for him. So we see where Nathalia finally comes downstairs. She gives Dannielle a hug, and she didn't give one to Garrick. And I was just like, ha ha ha. I liked that she didn't bother with him. Like, we got stuff to, sort out here, and I'm not pleased. So he proceeds to issue an apology to Nathalia. Nathalia says she hopes that he realizes his mistake and it doesn't happen again. Meanwhile, Dannielle is getting emotional and tells her that Garrick did not intend to hurt her. Why she's getting emotional, I don't know. Because she's not the one responsible for what's happening here. He's the one who did this. So now, once again, she's taken on the responsibility or the remorse that he should be feeling. And she's the one who's apologizing for his action. So we see where Garrick is fake crying, wiping his face. He's just, And in seeing him doing that, I was like, here we go, typical, narcissistic behavior. And I was just like praying that Nathalia didn't fall for this. So anyway, he says he wants to delete the app. And Nathalia asks, like, how many apps and profiles he has. He says a lot. And then Dannielle brought up the number of 10, like she thinks it's like 10. So when does he really have time to be managing 10 apps, replying to people and all this stuff? It just doesn't seem to me that he really wants a sister wife. And, it seemed like maybe this is just a facade that he set up so he could talk to other women and see how far he can get or what he can get out the deal. Like, why does he need all these apps? So, he was saying lots when she asked how many apps or profiles he has. It's like, he's saying lots, like lots. And Dannielle is bringing up a number. So to me, it seems as though it's more than 10, and Dannielle is probably covering for him, because why can't he give a number? He just keeps saying lots, and she's bringing this number. So after she brings up the 10, now he's the one who's talking about the 10, but he didn't have a figure of the number of apps. So I don't believe that 10 is really the number. But his excuse of having all these profiles, he claims that it's not common for people to be interested in polygamy. So basically, I guess he's playing the numbers game to be able to find more people, and having more apps, you find more people, I guess, supposedly. So Nathalia is shocked at the number of apps he has, and she asks, is there anything else that she doesn't know that he needs to tell her? And he says no. Nathalia asks, like, how he would feel if she did the same thing. How would he feel if she claimed that she deleted these apps and didn't, and was still in communication with other people? Which he didn't really answer that. He just said that he's disappointed in himself and he's very ashamed and he hates lying. And so all this with this soft voice, and he's acting like so childlike to me. And it looks to me like, it seems like it's the mannerisms that he used to weasel out of, having accountability for things that he does. Between the fake crying, the soft voice, and like berating himself, saying, oh, he's ashamed and he doesn't want to lie. He hates lying. And so, you can see they're feeling bad for him, but why feel bad for him? Well, Nathalia, I feel like she does feel bad a little bit for him, but she's still asking questions and she's not letting up. So Dannielle once again speaks up, saying that, and I think she's trying to maybe salvage things, because all Garrick's doing is fake crying and he's not really saying a whole lot. And Dannielle says, he doesn't mean to hurt her. And Nathalia says, well, why do you keep defending him? He needs to face consequences of his actions. And Dannielle says that, oh, well, it's because I know his heart. And yeah, supposedly. Maybe she's psychic and we just don't know this, because how do you know that he's really sorry and he wasn't being deceptive in all of this? So she's the one who's always trying to protect him like he's a child, or, the one who's trying to make things right for him while he just sits there and there's no accountability. So Dannielle claims that she's not trying to defend him, but, she's knows who he is, being with him for a long time, blah, 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 blah. And he tells Nathalia that he's sorry and asks her to forgive him. And so she eventually, says, okay. She says in the confessional that she loves him, and that's the reason that she's giving him a second chance. And she hopes that he would fulfill his promise to her. So in the end, he got what he wanted with his little ploy that he's doing. I don't believe any of it. Um, but he couldn't just leave well enough alone. He had to sprinkle some Jesus in it. And he's like, oh, do you know this Bible verse or something? The story about Saul, no, Paul, no, King David, and how he needed hyssop or something like that to bring out. And then he asked if she knew what hyssop was, and it's something to bring out infections. And he goes on to say, well, maybe there was something in him that was festering that needed to be brought out so he could change. And you could see the look on Natalia's face. I could just tell her, if I could caption it, I would be like, she's thinking like, what the hell? This dude is nutty as heck. What does this have to do with what we're talking about right now? But anyway, she says, no more repeat. She didn't care for all this Jesus talk. Just promise me that this is not going to happen again. So why she chooses to forgive him is beyond me. But I think she's a smart girl. She must have a reason why she's proceeding with this. But I really don't think that, she's buying this whole thing that Garrick is selling. But we'll see as the episode progresses. She's still hanging around. So what reason is it? Let me know your thoughts on this whole thing with the apps and the number of apps that he has. Are you buying the story that he's giving? This week, the Salahuddins are back, and I'm so glad that dinner is finally over. I feel like that's all we've seen of them so far, is them at that table having dinner and talking to his mom. So this week, we see where they're in the car. Naeem and Naila are going to the airport to pick up Keisha. This is the lady that they had been talking to for a few months, so they're finally going to meet them in person. So while they're in the car, Naeem asked what if she kissed him, and she was like, on the cheek? And he was like, no, what if she slobbed me down or something like that? And she said, well, then I'm popping you in the forehead because no one gets to do that. So yeah, that's something she's better get used to if she really wants to be down with this polygamous life, because somebody's gonna be kissing your husband. So on the way, they're stopping at this farm to get flowers. And it seems like this is like a whole setup thing, because they already placed the order. But when they got there, she says she's going to look for it. They can look around, and they're on the grounds and whatnot. Why wouldn't their order be ready? Or why do they need to look around when they already ordered something? But anyway, very nice scenery there. And so they're outside. They're talking about, the ground rules for the visit. She says that they can only hug, kiss on the cheek, but nothing further. She says no sex till marriage, and I was like, oh boy. So I don't know that she can impose that on her, but I guess she can impose it on the husband, and he has to agree and say no. But is it just me, or Nyla just doesn't seem too enthusiastic about the whole thing? Like, she's saying the right things, but it just doesn't seem like she's really all that into it. And even though Naeem is saying the same thing, and I don't know if it's their personality or what, but neither of them seems really enthusiastic about the whole thing to me, but maybe that's just me. So they talk about how there'll be no overnight stays with Keisha because they don't know her yet. Well, Nyla is the one who's saying that. And, they want to take their time with getting to know her. Naeem claims that, when they had a potential sister wife before, after they had kissed or whatever, she ended up losing contact with Nyla and was talking more to him. But did they ever mention this before, that they had potential sister wife before? I thought this was going to be the first go around for them. But anyway, so then they get into this conversation about jealousy. And she says that it's something that she encountered before, something like that. I guess she has to deal with. So, the florist finally brought out the flowers, and it was a cute bouquet. I liked it. It was a little different from what you normally see. And she asked, what's the occasion? So then they go into this whole, we're going to meet our potential sister wife, and it's polygamy. Do you know what it is? And go on to explain, and how they're going to come live with us, and we're going to have a bigger family. And so the florist was in her confessional. I don't know why the florist get a confessional, but okay. She says that she's been in the floral industry for 30 years, and this is her first polygamous customer. And so the producers asked her what she learned about polygamy today, and she's like, she says, to be honest, they're assholes. And I think that maybe she's saying that because of what she goes on to say. Like, she couldn't imagine dealing with multiple people. It's hard enough dealing with one. So I think that comment was probably, you know, related to the concept of polygamy, because, you know, it's kind of, everybody doesn't get the same benefits from it, you know, and having to deal with multiple people. Maybe she's talking about, I can't imagine they're talking about that she's referring to the couple, because she doesn't really know them. But let me know what you think about that comments about when she was asked about what she learned about polygamy today. So they talk further about going to the room. He said he's just going to bring her to the room, make sure everything's okay, and then he's going to come right back. To me, it seems like Nyla is a little insecure, and I thought they were all going out together, so why wouldn't they all go to the room together? Why does she need to stay in the car? Maybe that's what's making her insecure with this. So they talk a lot about this, what the rules are, and, you know, no touching, no this, no that. So while they're driving, after they pick up the bouquet, Nyla got a text from Keisha, and so she's like, oh, I think she's having second thoughts. And so she proceeds to read the text to Naeem. So she says she has some concerns about how things are going to go. Well, she didn't go into what the concerns were in the text, but she goes on to say how she has some loose ends that she needs to tie up. She has some stuff that she needs to store somewhere. She has to move her car and store it with somebody's guest house, something like that. And Naeem was like, she didn't know all this stuff before today. Nyla was like kind of at a loss, because she says, you know, we've been in contact with her constantly. She never mentions any of this. So then when she tries to call Keisha, the call didn't go through. So I guess she's proper ghosted them now. So Naeem was a little peeved because he said it sounds like a setup not to come. Naeem says he feels let down, a little angry about the fact that, you know, she was doing this the day off. And I have to agree, that's a bit cold-hearted. Granted, people try to convince themselves they want to go through with this kind of stuff. And I understand it's possible that when it came to the day off, she's like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. But what I didn't like was the fact that she's making all these excuses about why she couldn't make it today, when she could have just said, you know what? I've tried to be comfortable with this and I just can't do it. She should have just said that. So anyway, they decide that they're going to go out. They had a reservation and they're just going to go out since, she's not coming and they're out. So they went out to dinner, and at that point, they still hadn't heard back from Keisha, which I don't know why they were trying to reach her, because when she called and the call wouldn't go through, I would have been done at that point. Like, I would take that as a sign that she's done. So they talk about, you know, what they're going to do going forward. Naeem says, the relationship with Keisha was perfect, how he would call her. She would call him, little things that she would do, and it felt nice for him or whatever. And he feels like they should start meeting people in person, people who are closer to where they live, that he can see what they look like. When they talk, he can see their facial expressions, look in their eyes and stuff like that. Naila feels like she's scared of meeting people in person. But the benefit to online is that the people that they meet already know they're polygamists. So I guess they, are in polygamist groups or whatever, dating sites or whatever. But Naeem is insisting, like, you know what? In order for me to proceed, I'm okay with proceeding. But yeah, I don't want to do this online thing. He feels like it'll be better if they just meet people in person. He says he's not scared. So I guess they'll try this online, this in-person meeting, which is going to be giving us kind of creepy, like how Ryan and Becky was trying to do. I don't know how this will be different or easier. Maybe if they have like a local polygamist group, or maybe they need to, tighten their search for polygamists on whatever website that they're on, where it can't be outside of the state that they live in or something like that. But I could see the benefits of having somebody local instead of all this stuff that they have to finesse and then come to the end of it and this person has changed their mind. This week, Justin and Becky are going on a road trip to see Stephanie. Now, Stephanie's the lady that they said they had dated for 9 months, and now they're kind of on the outs. They say that Stephanie, it gets hot and cold with them, and so, they're kind of wanting to get some kind of solid answers from her. So after things fell through with Desiree, they say that Stephanie had called and asked them to come visit. Justin talks about how super in love with Stephanie he is, outside of his family and his wife. There's nobody he loves more. And after she asked him to come visit, he said the night before that they were supposed to go visit, she said she had to work. Now, even though she's trying to change the plans, they're still going. And as a matter of fact, one of them had mentioned how she called and told them not to come. Well, here they are. They're going on a road trip. And they believe that once they show up, that Stephanie will be happy to see them. So they're going on a 12-hour drive to wherever she lives. What the heck? They're a little pushy, aren't they? Like, who does this? Why can't they just respect the lady's wishes? So anyway, they're going on this road trip. So Justin says that they pursue her when she gets cold because they love her. She's similar age as them, similar life circumstances. She had children when she was young as well. Different things that they like about her. But I'm sure there has to be somebody else on this planet of how many billions of people that they could meet who could be, be these things for them. But they just seem so obsessed with her. It's just creepy. So anyway, Becky talks about this necklace that she has that Stephanie had given her, I think, on their second date. And it's a forever necklace. I guess it's supposed to be some kind of sign of commitment to their sister-wife relationship. So while they're in the car, on their way there, she tries to call Becky and got no answer. Tries to call Stephanie and got no answer. Becky says, Stephanie says that her best friend, if she enters in this polygamous thing, her best friend is going to end their relationship. So this is one of the things, I guess, that's causing her to be cold and changing her mind and not sure what she wants. So this couple is really laser focused on Stephanie, and, she didn't answer her phone. She told them not to come. On the way, she didn't answer her phone. You would think that this would be a sign that she doesn't want to see them right now. She's changed her mind, but nope, they cannot take a hint, and it's very creepy. So then Justin says he wants a yes or no from Stephanie. He says that Stephanie keeps flip-flopping, but he loves her to death. He goes on to say that he would take a bullet for her. Lord. I mean, he says they've been dating for like 9 months, which she doesn't live close by. So how well, could you possibly know somebody in 9 months when you only see them a couple of times? But he has these strong feelings for her for some reason. Becky talks about how Stephanie's treating them like crap, and she's just in touch when she wants to, and she feels like she's putting them on a shelf only to pick them back up again when she wants to, and they're not getting the same level of commitment from her. Once again, this is a sign that she's not really interested, that you guys don't want the same thing, at least not at this point in time, so move on. But instead, here they are. They said that they paid some of her bills, I guess. Justin mentions paying her gym membership and says maybe this will soften her up. So basically, they're willing to buy a sister wife, it sounds like to me. Why on earth are they so desperate? So, seeing how they're treating Stephanie, I can see why maybe nobody wants to be with them, and over the last however long that they've been looking for a sister wife, that they haven't found one, because they are so intense and just smothering and just can't take no. They're just too much. So we see where they stopped at the gym to pay for her membership, to restart her membership. Justin says that they've been buying her stuff, but he didn't say what. And then after they left the gym, Becky says they should drive to her house, and I think they mentioned something about windows, and then Becky says, there's windows in her garage. She doesn't mind going and looking. Can you imagine being at work and there's people skulking around your property looking through your windows? This is creepy and stalkerish. So then they got there, and Becky goes to knock on the door, and I was thinking to myself, like, wait a minute, didn't she tell you that she has to work? So they don't believe that she has to work, so they're going to her house? What the heck? So we don't really see the door. It's kind of, the camera kind of panning mostly to the ground, and you can see a silhouette, and you can hear the Ring doorbell, do-do-do. And, I guess somebody answers, and this is how their segment ends. So this should be interesting as to whether one, Stephanie's home, and two, her reaction to this whole business, because she explicitly told them not to come, and here they are. I would have been really annoyed, and I would not have talked to them after this. So we'll see how this goes. Let me know your thoughts on this whole creepy setup that these two have going on. Time has come for Danielle to have the dreaded conversation with April. So we see where Danielle and April are doing laundry. April says she really hasn't had a chance to talk to Danielle since she moved back. She refers to herself as the matriarch of the family. So I guess being the first wife, she has to assert her position in the family. And so she asked Danielle, see where they go to sit together on the sofa. Danielle was folding some clothes, and she asked her how she's feeling about the whole thing. She says she's feeling okay. And April mentions, how she got a lease and how she handled her finances and didn't give her a chance to talk to her about it. Not quite sure why she was bringing up her finances. Why would she need to discuss her finances with her? I get the part where, she would want her to talk about, what was happening, what was bothering her, why she wanted to leave. But I found it weird that she was bringing up finances. But let me know if there's something I'm missing about this whole finance piece. I didn't see where it was relevant, but maybe I don't know enough about the dynamics here. So anyway, Danielle says, she felt like she had to do it that way because she felt like it was less hurtful. April asked her, how she would know that she wouldn't do it again. Danielle didn't really answer, which I found to be interesting. She just said that she didn't mean to cause any hurt to anyone. April started crying and saying how hurtful it was for the family, and that how, when she tried to brush Vera's teeth, she wouldn't let her because she's used to Danielle doing it. And when she brought that up, Danielle started crying about that, and she said she would never forgive herself. The kids feel abandoned and all that stuff. So surprisingly, April tells her to forgive herself because how they all forgive her, and they want her in the family. And I felt like her bringing up Vera was meant for her to feel guilt, which she did, but then she turns around to say, hey, forgive yourself, just to make it seem like she is so great. But you're the one who's causing all this guilt. You're the one who's triggering this guilt in her, only to turn around to tell her to forgive herself. I just thought that was weird that she would, bring up Vera, knowing that anybody would feel guilty about that. But, she wants to make it seem like, she's so great, being so forgiving. And of course, Danielle, felt appreciative of her, telling her that they all forgive her and for her to forgive herself. So I felt like, I'm not liking how she did that whole little thing. It just seems so manipulative. You could talk about the issues in the relationship, but there was no reason to kind of bring up Vera like that. And, I feel like it was just meant for exactly what it did, to trigger her and make her feel really guilty and sad. And so, of course, when you bring that up, whatever is coming after that, because she doesn't want to cause any hurt to the children, she's going to be more agreeable. I didn't like that. So Danielle says it's good to know that they're going to hold off on dating, which April had mentioned that they're going to hold off on dating because Danielle is not comfortable with it. But Danielle says she will do whatever it takes or whatever. And April asked her to promise that this would not happen again, which she did as well. April says that, there's a possibility of Danielle leaving again. However, they have to take her word for it. And so this was all for their segment, a very short segment on the Davis family this week. And this is the end of the recap for the episode. Let me know your thoughts on the episode. Like, comment, and subscribe.